Okay, let's see what this Fractals is all about. What? I guess I can handle tier 4. Hey there guys, today we're going to take a look at Fractals of the Mists. It might be something that's hard to get into, so I hope this guide is going to make it a bit easier for you. This was requested by many of you, so I decided to make a video for it. Before we start, I'd like to point out that this is a guide for beginners and new players to Fractals of the Mists. This guide won't be focused on speed clears, but just on the things you'll need to get going. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe for more Guild Wars 2 related content. If you have a question during or after this video, please leave it in the comments. I'll try to help out the best way I possibly could. This video is separated in different segments where I discuss several topics of Fractals of the Mists. I'll try to keep each segment between 2 to 4 minutes, so it won't be too long and too complicated to listen to. If you want to skip ahead to a specific segment, please check out the timestamps that I've put in the description. Okay, let's dig into the guide. So first off, what are Fractals of the Mists? Fractals of the Mists is a series of mini dungeons that can be found in Lion's Arch. You can find it in the southern part of the city. Fractals was first introduced in 2012 with the Lost Shores update, but since then a lot has changed. Before you start, I'd advise you to have a level 80 character before starting Fractals of the Mists, and you'll also need some proper gear, but I'll get to that in a minute. Upon walking up to the portal, you'll see a window pop up with quite a lot of options. Don't panic, I'll explain what this is right now. As you can see, the Fractals are divided into tiers. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 and Tier 4. Tier 1 is the easiest tier, and this is where you should start on. You won't be able to do higher tiers just yet, because these require Agony Resistance. I'll be going over this with the required gear. So let's go over the requirements of these Fractals real quick. As you can see, level 1 shows you the objective you need to complete, and in the top right you'll see a little shield with a 0 next to it. This is the amount of Agony Resistance you'll need to stay alive in the Fractal. You don't have to worry about Agony Resistance before level 20, because all of these Fractals don't require Agony Resistance. Well, I've mentioned Agony Resistance quite a couple of times now, so let me explain what it is. While you progress onto higher level Fractals, that are the Fractals above level 20, you will encounter a new condition. This condition is called Agony, and it cannot be removed with any condition removal skill. As other conditions, like poison and bleeding, Agony will take a portion of your health every second. In the beginning this damage is something to look out for, but it won't kill you. If you lack Agony Resistance in higher level Fractals, this could mean instant death, and we don't want that to happen. If your teammates notice this, then they will most likely kick you, so make sure you have enough Agony Resistance before starting a Fractal. So, how do I get Agony Resistance and what gear do I need? By completing a Fractal, you will receive a reward which usually includes a +1 Agony Resistance. You want to save these up and not sell them. You will also receive Fractal Relics from completing Fractals, which can also be spent on Agony Resistance and other items of convenience. You can also do Fractal Dailies. You can unlock these via the Central Tyria Master Track. Doing these grant you an extra +1 Agony Resistance. I'll get back to Agony Resistance in just a second and talk about gear first, because these two segments blend into each other. When you just started playing Fractals of the Mists and you started Fractal level 1, then I would advise you to have full exotic gear. You can keep this gear until level 19, but after that you'll need to get some Ascended armor. Why do I need Ascended gear, you ask? After level 19, you'll need Agony Resistance to survive. Those were the things we just talked about. Agony Resistance can only be applied to Ascended armor, weapons and trinkets. Ascended armor might be quite hard to obtain, so I would advise you to get Ascended trinkets and weapons first. Trinkets can be obtained by using laurels at the laurel vendor or by using guild accommodations. If you want to know more about guilds and guild accommodations, you can check out my top 5 tips for new players video. Anyway, let's move on. As you might have noticed, I've only talked about +1 Agony Resistance, but you'll need quite a lot more. If you have full Ascended armor, trinkets and weapons, then you would have about 14 Ascended armor pieces. So applying +1 Agony Resistance to it would only grant you +14 Agony Resistance in total. Fractal level 100 requires 150 Agony Resistance. This means you'll have to increase the bonuses you'll get from Agony Resistance to improve and get to higher level Fractals. So, how do I get more than +1 Agony Resistance? There are 3 ways I currently know of to get more than +1 Agony Resistance. The method I usually use is to stack up my +1 Agony Resistance and go to the Artificer station. Make sure that you're on a character with at least level 100 Artificer and buy a Thermocatalytic Regent. And click on Craft. This way you will combine 2 +1 Agony Resistances into a +2 Agony Resistance. Repeat this process to create higher Agony Resistance bonuses. The other way is to purchase Agony Resistance from vendors inside Fractals of the Mists. You can use lower Agony Resistances to buy higher level Agony Resistances alongside with some gold. So, for example, you can use 3 +1 Agony Resistances with 4 silver to get 1 +3 Agony Resistance. The third way is just buying them off the trading post. The +1s aren't too expensive, but beware if you want to get higher Agony Resistances from the trading post. These can get quite pricey. If you want these, then just buy the cheap ones and craft them to a higher level of Agony Resistance. If you don't have the recommended Agony Resistance before starting a Fractal, you can go inside the Fractal lobby and stand in this red circle. This circle will show you the amount of damage you will take on that Fractal level. If you lack just a few points, the damage won't be so severe, but if you lack a lot, then it could be deadly. If you lack a few points of Agony Resistance, you can buy a discounted tier of Alba at Dessa's Alchemist. This grants you 10 extra Agony Resistance and 15 extra Agony Resistance if you have the Fractal Attunement Mastery maxed out. Oh, and don't worry about keeping track of your Agony Resistance. You can check the amount of Agony Resistance by going to your hero panel, go to Equipment, and check the Agony Resistance icon in the Attributes tab. You can also infuse and attune some trinkets to add more Agony Resistances to it. But that's something you'll need for later levels. I'll leave the wiki links with the ingredients and how to make it in the description. Another question you might have is, what class should I play? Obviously, you should pick a class you enjoy playing. You will spend quite some time gearing up this character and you will go to higher level Fractals with this character. However, if you, after a certain amount of time, dislike your class, you can always swap the Ascended armor and trinkets and give it to another class with the same armor type. Also, do keep in mind that some classes are preferred over other classes. This might change over time because of the developer updates. To see if your class is among these classes, please refer to the Snowcrows and Meta Battle website. You can find both websites in the description. Don't worry though. If you love to play a thief, you will still get invited if you have the right gear and build. Right now, Druids and Chronomancers are really preferred because of their healing, quickness and alacrity they provide. I want to briefly talk about team compositions though. I said in the beginning that this guide won't be focused on speed clears, but I think this could be an important note. As I just mentioned, Druids and Chronomancers are quite common in the meta right now. Usually at higher levels they add a Berserker or a Spellbreaker to the team. This is because they can provide banners and might that increase the damage output of your entire party. The rest of your group will most likely just be DPS. As I mentioned before, this might change. Browsing Reddit the other day I saw people running 2 Chronomancers instead of a Druid in raids. This was because the healing output of the Chronomancer wells has changed. I'm not sure if this is going to be the new meta for Fractals as well, but it's something you could keep in mind. If you want to make a group for Fractals, just refer to the Looking for Group panel. The Fractals are divided into tiers there as well. This way you can easily find a group for your appropriate Fractal or Fractal tier. If you ever have trouble, don't be ashamed to ask your guildies to help you out. One Fractal usually takes about 10 minutes, so it's not something you'll spend hours on. But do keep in mind, if you have the right gear, know your build and have fun, you should be good to go. There are some other channels on YouTube that have quite a lot of in-depth guides about Fractals. They go deeper into the Fractals than I possibly could right now. I will pin those channels in the comments and leave them in the description. If you know a channel that has a great guide for Fractals, please let me know. But that's all I have for now. If you still have questions, make sure to put them in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like and share this video with a guildie if you find this helpful. Also, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Guild Wars 2 related content. I thank you all for watching and I really hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace! Oh yeah, and if you're bored, try to say Agony Resistance and Agony Resistances a couple of times. It will drive you nuts. Peace guys, thanks for watching.